What is up, guys? It's your boy, Saint Richolas, and today we are going to be showcasing how to farm the absolute crap out of the Deep Stone Crypt Raid. And that's because within Season of the Seraph, you can now craft weapons from this raid, which means you're going to need a lot of red border versions of this raid loot. Well, thankfully, it's a Christmas miracle because this week and every other week the Deep Stone Crypt is a featured old raid. You can actually farm encounters over and over again and get loot every single time instead of being limited to once per character. So, in this video, we're going to be showcasing some tips and loadouts to help you farm every single encounter significantly faster. Importantly, guys, this video is being made as if you already know the base mechanics of this raid and you just want to improve your farming of it. So if you don't know how to do this raid, definitely check out my complete raid guide. That is linked up above. Alright, now let's get started here with the very first encounter, which is actually very fast, and the trustee dropping with stuff like incandescent is pretty saucy. So, importantly, to make this encounter efficient, we need a one phase, and to do so, we need certain weapons that have extremely high damage, but don't require crits to get that, because what we're shooting is not going to give us crit damage. So, the first example of this is the Xenophage Exotic Machine Gun. This has traditionally been the go-to weapon of choice for this encounter. Fantastic, very easy to bust these objects with a Xenophage. But some alternatives in case you don't have it. Firstly, the Bastion. This is something I haven't been utilizing myself, but I've heard over and over again that this can do some serious damage here on this encounter. Another great example here, guys, is the 1000 Voices. Going to do significant damage here again because it doesn't really require those crits. And one more example, and probably the most accessible one, something I'm sure a lot of you guys have, that is going to be the Wardcliff Coil. And you will actually see my teammate using this within the background gameplay. Now, for you to pull this off, you need to be pretty close to these objects. You don't want a stray missile going into the wrong one, but like one shot can absolutely demolish these. Again, fantastic for achieving that one phase. Now, some additional tips. While you have to do that, you also have to be on top of a ton of ads. So, some extremely high ad clearing potential weapons, something like the Forbearance Grenade Launcher, that's going to have chain reaction and be fantastic at clearing out ads. If you're running a Titan, utilizing the Arc Storm Grenades build, another great way to be in control of the ads. And speaking of ads, you really want to be using something like, well, for this season at least, an SMG combined with overload rounds. There are going to be overload champions, and you just want to take them out as quickly as possible. You can actually see I'm using my Thunder Crash against these guys simply because I'm not going to be using it in the, quote-unquote boss fight. That's where my Xenophage comes into play. So I have this free super to absolutely decimate this overload champion and just make it so I don't need to deal with these guys. One other quick tip if you want to be really efficient is that you can have your scanner, if they're quick scanning the first section they're on, they can actually utilize the open doors of the operator that's heading down, as you can see, to shimmy over to the other side and then scan the other side. So you don't need to pass scanner through the wall. If your scanner, again, is quick enough and utilizes the doors being opened by the operator, they can do that more efficiently. And that's pretty much it for this encounter. Guys, let's move on to what most people are gonna be farming within this raid, and that is the atraks encounter. You have the Heritage Shotgun and the Secession Sniper Rifle dropping here, both extremely high value pieces of loot. So, the team strategy we were using on this encounter was to send firstly 4 people up and 2 people stay down. The people staying down are grabbing operator and of course killing these servitors first, which caused the servitors up top to spawn. Now, at this point, you can play things 2 different ways. First of all, if you're not confident in your DPS, you want to be sure you're getting kind of the one phase, what you want to do is leave one servitor alive at the top, and then as you're doing so, the two people from the bottom then travel up. Once you see them arrive at the top, then you can kill the servitor, and that's going to let you have all 6 teammates ready to damage the glowing atraks. However, if you're really going for efficiency and you can use some extremely high damage things, which we're going to talk about in a sec, you can actually just kill the servitors as soon as they appear, and that's going to result in you entering into the first Extinction Protocol damage phase with only 4 people, while the other 2 are still at the bottom kind of heading up. And if you can accumulate the damage to one phase, as you can see, it's just more efficient. You can see that we then kind of just move on. The other 2 people then arrive after that damage phase is done, and then all 6 teammates are ready to go for the very final damage phase, and then we just, kill the guy, get it done, boom, there's the loot. That is going to be like the fastest run you can do, and also while keeping it pretty safe for the majority of teams out there. So, how to one phase atraks? Well, the new addition here is Parasite. Guys, the Parasite absolutely cranks atraks. If you can get Worm's Hunger times 20, which really isn't hard to do, even with 4 people at the top, they can all get Worm's Hunger times 20 for the most part. If one guy has times 16, times 18, really not that big of a deal, and this absolutely chunks atraks. In addition to that, you really want as many Thunder Crashes as you can get. The Thunder Crash Titan has an extremely high damage, quick to activate super, and especially if you can pair that with the Cuirass of the Falling Star to increase its damage even more, that is the play. We actually had all 6 Titans farming this because, if you have a Titan, why not just use it? Because it's not like you're farming armor, you're specifically farming the weapons, right? So if you can have as many Titans with Thunder Crash as possible, that is absolutely the play. Now, that's not to say that it's the only useful thing. If you're a Warlock, something like Nova Bomb, again, can do a lot of damage very quickly. So just, using your Parasite and then following up with a Nova Bomb right after, that's going to be pretty darn good. And for Hunter, it's probably going to be Blade Barrage. Again, like Parasite, Blade Barrage really quick, but if you can get the more Thunder Crashes, the better. Additionally, you may have noticed from the background gameplay, but we're basically completely ignoring the white mechanic, which is the purple sphere dropped when you kill the first atraks. Now, it's probably still a good idea to go and pick it up. However, if you're fast enough, you don't actually need to, because someone just picks it up and they stand around, and then when the person with operator comes up from the bottom, they just shoot it off your head, and that's going to reset the timer. Someone else picks it up, no big deal. You are not flushing it out of the airlocks or anything. You're basically just ignoring it because you're one-phasing atraks and then basically one-phasing them again. Now, if you don't have a Parasite, you're looking for another extremely high burst DPS weapon. Something like a sword, although those have kind of fallen out of favor a bit. A few guys with Parasites, a few guys with swords, and a lot of Thunder Crashes can still get this done no problem. Now, moving on from there, we have the third encounter, and this is generally considered the worst encounter to farm because every other encounter is going to be significantly quicker. Not to mention, with atraks, you're actually also getting the challenge chest at the same time when you are farming during a farmable week like this one, whereas with this encounter and the first encounter, you are not, and it would take significantly more time to accomplish these challenges. But you can make it pretty darn efficient if you just put on everything you can for ad clearing. So we talked about a bunch of Titans for the last encounter. In this encounter, kind of the same thing. If you can put on the Storm Grenade Titan build, oh my goodness, those are amazing. They roam around the map, absolutely decimating ads. The Forbearance Grenade Launcher I recommended in the first encounter comes up here again, but any wave frame grenade launcher is going to be fantastic. If you're a hunter, even consider something like Silence and Squall. That roaming super is going to be amazing, just keeping on top of the vast amount of ads. In addition, you also do need to deal with overload champions once again, and whenever you see them, you know, if you have the parasite still equipped, forbearance plus parasite is a great combo. Just yeet a parasite at them after you've stunned them with your overload SMG and take those guys down as quickly as possible. This encounter is so much easier if you're on top of the ads and it feels like an empty room. It's just 10 times faster than if you're constantly having to deal with ads and going ways to avoid ads and they're hitting you and God forbid they take you down, you've got to be revived. Everything's going to be exponentially longer if you're not on top of these ads. But that's pretty much it, so let's move on to the final encounter against the final boss, TANIKS, and this is another extremely farmable encounter. A lot of people are going to spend a lot of time here. The loot isn't quite as good. It's the sword and the machine gun. However, the machine gun's actually cracked. Like, it can get reconstruction plus killing tally, and I'm very excited for that. And every time you do what I'm going to describe, you're actually going to be completing the challenge as well, so you get 2 chests at the end of every single completion. So, the goal here is to one-phase TANIKS, and to do so, you want to damage all 4 of his appendages, jetpacks, whatever, causing the 4 nuclear cores to drop and deposit all 4 in one run. Basically, just take them to the opposite 2/3 of the map where the boss isn't. At this point, you'll trigger an extended damage phase and also get the challenge done, which is exactly what you want. The next thing you need is a lot of damage, so put on one of the many extremely powerful linear fusion rifles. So I'm using the Storm Chaser from the Duality Dungeon because it's Arc and I'm an Arc Titan, so I can actually get some Arc Elemental Wells, and you'll actually see in the background gameplay, I would get them just before the damage phase started, so I would get that Font of Might damage boost with the Storm Chaser, but obviously the Taipan, incredible. The brand new Stasis Aggressive Frame Viced Linear Fusion Rifle, fantastic. But you're pairing all of these linears with one guy using a Divinity. Yes, it's been nerfed. It's only going to provide a 15% damage bonus, but holy crap, it is so much easier to hit this ginormous Divinity bubble than it is to shoot this guy's head. Trust me, I tried to do it with a tractor cannon because we had some guy going, oh, you're going for the 15% damage bonus, trust me guys, you want that tractor cannon, and then that same guy was complaining about not being able to hit the head halfway through the damage phase. So no, just use Divinity, it's still going to result in the most consistent one phases. But with this guy specifically, because it's all about DPS and the ads are pretty easy to take care of, especially if you have a few Storm Grenade Titans, you want another weapon, your special weapon, to also kind of be for DPS. Now, I went for the Heritage, and I'm going to use this specifically if I was to ever run out of ammo, or also when you are damaging him to release the balls, you want to use your kind of special weapon. Again, you can see me use the Heritage here, and I want to save my heavy for the actual DPS phase. But something like the Cloud Strike, especially if you have the new Catalyst that gives it triple tap, that's going to do a ton of damage as well. You just want a little bit of a backup weapon, and again, something to be able to damage him and release those balls that isn't cutting into your heavy ammo for the actual DPS phase. Because remember, not only are you going to need enough ammo to one phase this guy, but there's also the final stand mechanic where he's teleporting around. You need also enough DPS to take him down in that. So some leftover supers, if you didn't use your Thunder Crash, you're saving it for that, not a bad idea. And again, some extra heavy ammo because you didn't waste it on other things to finish him off is a great idea as well. And so guys, that's it for the video. I wish you luck, because you're gonna need it. The drop rates for these red border weapons are extremely low. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.